Take the cities, the satellites, and the global networks we've built and tear them away. 7 million years ago, our entire world was this, a harsh, windswept savanna where daily survival was a struggle against the elements. We are physically fragile creatures, sharing 98 to 99% of our DNA with chimpanzees. Out on these open grasslands, our earliest ancestors were slow and highly vulnerable to predators. This graph tracks human technological progress over time. For the vast majority of our history, the line remains flat. For millions of years, innovation was non-existent. Conditions eventually became so severe that our population shrank so drastically we reached a genetic bottleneck. We were down to a few thousand breeding individuals, pushed to the absolute edge of extinction. Escaping that bottleneck required a new kind of resilience. The survivors began a cycle where every survival tactic built upon the last, creating a compounding effect. What started as a biological flatline turned into a vertical climb of technological acceleration. The process began with a simple anatomical shift to an upright posture. Sahelanthropus chadensis, one of our earliest ancestors, stood up, freeing their hands to carry food and move across long distances. But biological evolution is slow. It took another 4.5 million years for those free hands to begin manufacturing even the simplest tools. Around 2.6 million years ago, ancestors began chipping stones to create sharp edges. These blades allowed them to reach calorie-dense bone marrow and defend themselves, marking our first real technological shift. Even with tools, we were still limited by our own biology. To truly accelerate, humans had to find ways to move their energy consumption outside their own bodies. That shift occurred about 1 million years ago with the early control of fire. By cooking their food, humans effectively moved the heavy work of digestion directly to the flames. Cooking converted raw food into a massive calorie surplus. These dense energy reserves were funneled directly into supporting the high energy demands of a growing brain. By 300,000 years ago, the brain of Homo sapiens reached a size that enabled complex language and large-scale cooperation. This capacity for symbolic thinking allowed humans to develop complex hunting strategies and adapt to every extreme environment on Earth, from frozen tundras to tropical islands. By using fire to hack their energy intake, humans bypassed the slow crawl of physical mutation. We began to rely on intellect rather than muscle to conquer the planet. 12,000 years ago, the agricultural revolution ended millions of years of nomadic wandering. Humans began building permanent settlements and generating food surpluses. These settlements required record-keeping, which led to the invention of writing. For the first time, humans could store knowledge outside of their own biological memory. Once knowledge could be inherited perfectly across generations, the time between breakthroughs shrank. This led directly to the scientific and industrial revolutions, where machines began to multiply human labor. Human progress no longer depended on biological evolution. Driven by shared knowledge, we went from the first coward flight to the surface of the moon in a matter of decades. That same compounding knowledge built the information age. Early supercomputers filled entire rooms, a physical manifestation of our growing power to process data. Compare those room-sized mainframes to the device in your pocket today. Technological change is moving faster than ever, shrinking in size while expanding into the era of artificial intelligence. Despite these changes, our biology remains fixed. Your DNA is 99.9% identical to every other human alive, tying us all back to that small group that survived the ancient bottleneck. Biologically, there is little difference between an ancestor chipping a stone blade and a modern human prompting an AI. The only difference is the inheritance of tools. Human evolution now moves through our technology. The curve is still rising, and these new tools will define our path through the cosmos.